know that most of the country artists you know and love today got their starts in places called honky tonks? That's right. Patsy Cline, Ernest Tubb, all of them. Honky tonks are an important stop in the careers of some of the brightest country stars. And the music you'll find in honky tonks is like none other on the American landscape. Designed to get your feet tapping and your mind off your troubles, this is music you can't sit down to. Hosted by Bill Anderson, this series features tons of your favorite country music legends as they tell their favorite honky tonk stories, sing their favorite honky tonk songs, all on a collection we're calling Country's Family Reunion Honky Tonk. Come on in.
Well, we're honky tonking it up here on Country's Family Reunion for this time. Here's an old boy that's probably played his share of honky tonks, not only in Texas, but probably all around the world. One of the more unusual musical instruments you'll ever see. First time he's been with us, Junior Brown. Junior, we're glad to have you here, buddy.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
We've all seen your videos, the thing about the highway patrol and all those funny, crazy things that you've done. Talk to me about that instrument there.
Well, this is called a git-steel, and
it's called a what?
Git-steel.
Git-steel.
It's the git, and there's the steel. And if someone is going to steal this from me, they take to the hock shop twice. You see, they slice it right down there, and you hock it twice. So it works for me because I always like to play both instruments in the song if I could. You know, so I usually stand up and play on a stand while I'm singing, but this time I didn't bring it, so we're going to have a sit-down gig here.
Well, now, is that all one solid piece of wood there?
Yes,
And you've got the guitar neck and
Right.
all of that hardware there. And did you design this yourself?
Yes, And first one I made was in 1985, and then this one was made in 1995, and it was red. You can see. We're talking about the honky tonks, brother. Look what the honky tonks did to this thing, not to mention me. We're both a little faded, I think.
You work out of Texas, don't you?
Well, a lot I do. I live in Branson, Missouri right now.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Just moved up there.
Do you play at one of the theaters up there?
Haven't yet, but I will when I'm not traveling anymore. I'm 62 now, and I'm traveling quite a bit. I still feel pretty good, and no end in sight. But if I start slowing down, I'll have a place to play in there where they can come to me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm anxious to hear you do this live. I've seen you do it many times on TV and various things. What song are you going to do?
I'm going to do one by my dear friend that passed away recently, Ray Price, and I know he was your dear friend as well. And we're going to do a little thing called My Shoes Keep Walking Back to You.
Oh, that's great. Going to play both instruments.
Yes, sir.
All right, Junior Brown.
2, 3. I may say that I don't care, hold my head up in the air, even tell my friends I'm glad when you don't call. But when the day is through, my heartache starts anew, and that's when I miss you most of all. And my arms keep reaching for you, my eyes keep searching for you, my lips keep calling for you, and my shoes keep walking back to you. I pretend I wish I had you back again, for no one else means half as much as you. My world just seemed to die the day you said goodbye, and I can't forget, no matter what I do. And my arms keep reaching for you. My eyes keep searching for you. My lips keep calling for you. And my shoes keep walking back to you. And my shoes keep walking back to you. I've worked with a lot of groups, a lot of bands all over, and I don't know if I've ever played with a finer one than this one right here.
Junior Brown, Junior, that's incredible, man. I know there's going to be people watching this that are going to want to know, can you build them one of those? Is there anywhere anybody can actually buy an instrument like
Yes,
this?
we've been selling a few of them, believe it or not.
Awesome.
And it's kind of weird when you see a guy play one because it's like watching somebody dancing with your wife, you know? It's like, okay, now put it down. That's real good. That's real good. Put it down now. But it's great, and a few people have bought them, and it's stevensguitars.com. I'll get that in there. Michael Stevens makes them.
Okay.
Junior, did you get the idea for that in a dream? Somebody
Yeah,
at time?
kinda.
That's
Yeah, I was living over in Hawaii for a little while. This fella over there, he gave me a piece of a zither, an old zither that he'd cut in half, and he'd made a little steel about that long, and I was going to glue it on to the guitar, and that idea led to just a double-necked instrument instead of just gluing something on, you know. So one idea will lead to another. So.
Yeah.
Am I excused, or you want to talk?
Actually, I'd love to hear you play some more. I was going to ask you. I was going to ask if you could play the Wildwood Flower and steel guitar rag at the same time.
No, probably. I might have to rehearse it a little bit.
Well, man, thanks for sharing that with us. That's really great and unique, and thanks for being a part of our reunion for the first time.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. You know that.
I wondered where his bar. I kept thinking, where's his bar?
You
I
carry
kept
your.
wondering, where's his bar?
Right there.
You pulled it out.
Oh, you keep it right on the top. It's like
It's a felt-lined hole right there.
Oh, I see.
It's all done with mirrors. Very cool.
That's amazing.
I was wondering where that too.
Can you get HBO on that thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Whether I want it or not.
And it gets 20 miles to the gallon.
There you go.
That's terrific. We need to do just a little bit of housekeeping, because when you sang the song about, Lord, I need somebody bad tonight, we couldn't think of the writer.
Yeah, I had a total brain dump. But it was Ben Peters who wrote the song, of course, who's written so many great classics. And I forget who I was talking to, brain dumped again. We were talking about that title is one of those that says it all. I mean, the play on words, you know. Yeah. Need somebody bad tonight because I just lost somebody good.
Makes me mad when I hear a line like that.
And
I
it
get
was
mad because I didn't think of it.
No.
A lot of great songwriters in this room right here. Linda Davis, I found out something about you today that I didn't realize. If you hadn't been a singer, you could have been a great hairdresser.
Oh, well, my sister has that part covered, so I think the world's in better hands with her with the tease and comb than me. But
Well, I don't know. I walked in the makeup room and you had hair going in 47 different directions, and then you put it all back together.
Well, you know I'm from Texas, and us Texas girls have that Texas hair. So, but I had a lot of professional help today. Thank you. I'll let the girls know you liked it.
I've seen you sitting over there with Billy Yates and Tony Booth singing along and just grinning on these songs like these are really the songs you love.
It's the songs, it's the soundtrack of my youth, actually. I wasn't old enough to go into some of these honky tonks that y'all are talking about where you played. Now, down the road from Carthage, Texas, which is where I was raised, was Longview. Carthage is a dry county. But in Longview, anybody ever play the Rio Palm Mall?
Oh, my.
Yeah. Everybody.
I know you did because I was too young to get in, but I just, whenever I drive by that place, besides the Opry, I thought one day I'm gonna sing at the Rio. And I set my sights high, you know. But they turned it into a different kind of music. So by the time I got old enough to go in and play, it wasn't the same. But the stories that my cousins that would go and two-step to all y'all's songs and your bands, I just sat in my little house thinking, one day, maybe one day. But to be in this room today with all of you, and hearing this music, it's so authentic and pure. It's just so nice.
Well, the Rio Palm Isle Ballroom in Longview, Texas, one of the classic honky tonks.
Not
anywhere.
classy,
Ever
but
handled the
classic,
room?
right? You didn't say classy, you said classic, right?
Yes, classic.
Hey, Bill,
Yeah, Eddie.
Colonel Parker told me that was the only place Elvis ever got thrown out of. They wouldn't let him come in.
Elvis got
the
thrown out of the
Longview-
Rio
the
Palm Isle
Longview.
for what?
There's a picture of him playing with Jimmy Day in there.
Well, they said that he got
Have
thrown
you seen
out.
that?
No, I never saw the
Jimmy
picture.
Day's on steel. Real young.
Wow.
They said that he got, I don't know when he got thrown out, but
Did
they
they
said
not like
that,
his dancing?
I don't know. Well, I'm not sure what the deal was. But then Sonny West told me the same thing, so maybe, and I played it 2 or 3 times. They didn't like me a lot either.
It's kind of rough
Was
when we
it
play.
was it because that he was doing the hip shaking and all that?
No,
on the stage?
I have no idea, but probably. But how it came up was I was in Las Vegas with the Colonel and my manager, a guy named Charles Stone that used to work for the Colonel. And Colonel said, well, where y'all going? Charles said, well, we got to leave. We got to go to Texas. We got to do so and so. And we left from there and we had to head back to, and they said, well, where are you playing? He said, the Rio Palm Isle. He said, now be careful there. He said, that's the only place Elvis ever got thrown out of. Now, I don't know when that happened. It may have been after or before. Maybe they were doing something. But
You know, the stage in there was kind of the ceiling was low, and there was a pipe that went.
I had to play my doghouse leaned over.
Lefty knocked himself out. He came up and knocked himself out. That was it. I've seen him do a lot of shows. That was one he didn't make either. He didn't make it on that show.
Talking about the Rio Palm Isle, back whenever we first started out, this was in 1954, that Elvis and the Browns were working together, 55. And we took Elvis in there the first time with us whenever we played the second time. And at the third time we went in there, the fourth time he was by himself. He didn't need us anymore. But the reason I quit playing the Rio Palm Isle is because I was standing out by my bus not long after that, and a bullet hit the door of my bus, and I said, well, this is it for me. So we left the Rio, but Elvis played the Rio Palm Isle for a long time. I did not know he ever got thrown out.
Well, that's what the Colonel said, so I don't know if
Well, I believe everything the Colonel said.
Oh, well. Well, that might be a mistake.
The Colonel.
Yeah, but that would have been in the years before the Colonel got involved with Elvis, because he didn't come along until
the Colonel didn't like me, because whenever I went into service, I talked to Elvis into volunteering also. The Colonel never liked me after that at all.
Yeah, Colonel also told me there was a guy from my part of the country, the only guy that ever got the best of him was Dudley J. LeBlanc with Had a Call.
Had a Call.
And that's how...
he started Had a Call.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how, they said that's how the Colonel got involved, because he was managing Hank Snow at the time.
Right.
And Hank Snow came back and complaining about Elvis stealing the show from him.
Right.
He said, you got to kick him off the show and get me on it.
And he tricked him. Got him mad. And he said, get that guy out of here.
Yeah.
He showed up late, right?
Well, I don't know all of the details, but that's what happened was then the Colonel, that's how the Colonel
He
got
said, you
to
can
Elvis.
have him. I don't want him anymore.
Hank Snow went to the Colonel and said, you've got to, it's either me or him, he said, and I think you need to get rid of him. And the Colonel said, no, I think I'm going to get rid of you. And that's whatever Elvis and
Oh, it's amazing.
Hank Snow
I mean,
ended up.
I actually saw Elvis at the Louisiana Hayride when I was in the third or fourth grade.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so I mean, my mother and dad are there, and my dad had taken me up there to meet Jimmy C. Newman.
Oh.
And I never got to do that, but Elvis came on, and he had those I never can remember if it was a pink shirt and black pants or black pants and a pink shirt, and I'm sure it was probably black pants and a pink shirt.
Yeah, right.
But he had them them shoes, they looked like they were that big, you know? And he's up there, and my dad said, don't you ever let me see you do stuff like that. My mother said, Bob, there ain't a thing wrong with that, you know?
You know, he got the idea for the pink from Slim Whitman.
Oh, really?
Slim Whitman used to come out. He would come on the stage at the Louisiana Hayride, and he wore pink sometimes. You know, he had pink stripe. And Elvis liked that pink. And he talked to me about that. And the next thing I know, he's got a pink Cadillac. And I said, Elvis, pink is not for us normal guys. I said, that's for strange boys. You know? But anyway, he loved that.
Didn't stop him, did it?
Pardon?
Didn't stop him.
No, it didn't stop him at all.
Well,
let's move right along.
You know, Eddie mentioned the Louisiana Hayride. That is a show, being from over in Carthage, Texas. That's just across the line. So I did the Louisiana Hayride when I was a young girl. It had changed a lot, but they still called it the Cradle of the Stars.
Yeah,
right.
And the next step was the Grand Ole Opry after you do the Hayride. So that's where I went instead of the nightclubs, instead of the honky tonks, the Louisiana Hayride. It was a little more family friendly. That was something my mom and daddy were proud to take me and have me do that show. But
in Carthage, Texas, is where the Texas
Country Music
Hall of Fame is, and where the statue is to Jim Reeves and so
Yes.
many people that
Tex
came
Ritter's
from that
from there,
area.
too.
Yes, Tex Ritter was from Panola County.
That's right.
He used to talk about
Indeed.
it. Sing us one of them Rio Palm Isle songs.
it's a Mel Tillis song. I bet he played that stage a bunch.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Tonight I'm burning old love letters, photographs and memories of you, hoping somehow I'll feel better. And when the smoke is gone, I won't want you. Burning memories, burning memories, burning all the memories of you that I can't use. My heart to you no longer matters, and I Oh, that's so
Oh, that is just
that's so
incredible.
pretty. And
Yeah, that is
good
beautiful.
picking, boys.
Linda
you for
Davis
having
and
me.
y'all, that was terrific. Yeah. Now let's see. Mel wrote that, and he recorded it first, I guess, and then it was a big hit for Ray, right? For Ray Price.
Big hit by Ray Price,
Yeah.
too. Great song
Yeah.
again.
Really is. Dale Watson, my friend, you have sat very quietly and patiently over there at the.
In heaven, honky tonk heaven over there. I swear, I feel like I'm in honky tonk heaven. I got surrounded by a lot of Texas legends and people I've listened to all my life.
Man, I imagine you have played as many or more honky tonks than anybody in this room, haven't you?
Rhonda, we were just talking about that. I own 2 in Texas. They're a lot smaller. They're not Mo and Joe's size or Gilly's size. It seats, both of them seat somewhere under 1,000 people, about 30. But
That's where you make your money.
yeah, somewhere under 1,000. But it's just really, they're just beer only, beer and wine. It's a beer joint, and people get up and dance, and the band plays. So it's officially a honky tonk.
Okay, so you say you own them now?
Yes.
Yeah, and where are they? What towns are they in?
One in Austin called a Little Longhorn, and then one in St. Hedwig, Texas, where Mo is from.
Where I used to live.
You used to live, yeah.
And
It's outside of San Antonio.
Where I'm from, yeah. And my son
Don't you
goes
own
to
the
your place
Longhorn?
sometimes.
I own the Little Longhorn.
Little Longhorn,
in Austin.
okay.
Yeah, I see Mo's son all the time, and my one in San Antonio, outside of San Antonio.
Do you play there yourself?
Oh yeah, well, I alternate Sundays. I do a thing every Sunday. You know, when you were mentioning the armadillo doing the mechanical armadillo, there seems to be a kind of a theme you do with honky tonks. You always do something catchy, and the past 15 years I've been doing chicken poop bingo. And we play, you know, so I'm, you know.
I don't think I'm going to ask you how you play that. I think I have a pretty clear idea.
Yeah. Well, it's just pretty instant.
fun.
You know, there's a board that goes on the pool table and it's got numbers on it. And for $2, people grab a number out of a basket, and if the chicken picks the number, then they get $114. And we do it 3 times every Sunday, and play music until the chicken is ready. The chicken has chosen the winner.
It's very exciting. I actually went in June. He didn't know I was there.
I didn't know she was there.
And so we went, and I got in, like, Dale plays, and then he says, okay, you get the tickets, and there's only how many tickets?
There's only 57, I guess.
So you run to the back, where there's free hot dogs, by the way.
Not any dogs, Jenny dogs.
So you run to the back, you can only get 1 ticket.
1 ticket.
You buy your ticket, then you run to the pool table to where you wait for the chicken. Now, when it finally gets a winner,
Picks a winner.
and then it picks a winner, then Dale brings them on stage. Now, this was the exciting part, because it was like, you know, Jim Brown, you have won this. Now, people are going crazy because he's won $114.
Well, you know somebody's won because you hear the collective, so we invite them up and we ask them where they're from. And a lot of tourists come into town, and you know, how many times they played, if they ever won, and what they're going to do with the money. And then I ask them, I got money in my left, right, and back pocket, and I ask them if they want to trade, because sometimes the money's more, sometimes it's less, sometimes it's the same amount. And then that's when the crowd really gets into it, because we ask them what should they do, and of course the crowd wants everybody to take the pocket.
And the day I was there, the guy said, no, I'm keeping the money. Well, the crowd, ooh,
Yeah,
big thing. He and his wife are
pressure.
going back and forth like it was a car they were going to win. Dale, they changed his mind, and he ended up picking a pocket.
Do you remember how much you won?
He
Or did you
ended
lose?
up keeping the $114. It was the pocket with the $114.
Yeah.
Well, then how much did you have in your pocket?
I never know. I was just telling them one time I forgot I got paid the night before for a show. And we just came in from the road in the bus, and we just went straight to the gig. And I woke up really tired and put the same pants on and went in there and started. And the guy won and came up. Actually, a lady won, and she didn't want to go for the pocket. And we always ask, well, which pocket would you have got? So we can count it out and see what they would have won or would have lost. And she picked the left pocket, and I reached in. Well, she kept the money, but she would have picked the left pocket. So I pull it out, and I just, right when I reached in, I realized I got $4,000 here.
Oh.
And I almost fainted, but then I thought, oh no, she didn't take the pocket. So, but then she almost fainted.
Well, I tell you, it takes a good chicken to do that, too.
It's the most philanthropic fowl on the earth.
Yes.
It's a very giving chicken.
I'm going to start getting in the chicken business because there's a talent in that. You know, I've noticed. They'll pick
You should
certain
raise
number.
chicken bingo
Yeah, they go to,
chickens.
Go right to B12 right there. You know.
That comes from old bull man right there.
I don't understand. Where does the chicken stay till it's time to start picking?
We got chicken coops out back.
Oh.
We're talking, this is, we're,
Sunday afternoon.
yeah, it's a Sunday afternoon, yeah,
But
4
there's
to
no
8.
bathroom in the coop, so that when
He
you
has to
bring
hold
him
it.
out,
He has to-
Right.
He's
Well,
ready to
you
go,
can, there's
right.
things you can count on life, taxes,
Yeah.
dying, and a chicken will
poop.
So we have
You know-
to assume that the
So he-
wrong end of the chicken started the picking thing, right? Is that the deal?
Exactly right.
Very good.
But some folks in California try to do it, and they call me up and say, we're doing something wrong. We just can't get this chicken to stay awake and everything. And I said,
Stay
well,
awake.
yeah, that's what I said. Stay awake. I said, yeah, it's already asleep by the time we start, and it won't wake up. I said, what time are you starting it? They said 9 o'clock at night. I go, you got to do it in the daytime for a chicken.
This is
Going
a
to bed when
day
the
job.
chickens mean something.
Now we know.
Definitely.
You learn
It's
something new
early.
every day.
Well, other than the chicken bingo, I imagine you sing a few songs.
Oh, yeah, I'll be glad to. Be
How
proud to.
about laying a Dale Watson song on us? This guy is a great honky tonk, pure country singer, and it's always fun when he comes to the Grand Ole Opry, but never brought the chicken with him.
You know,
Yeah, bring that chicken.
Bring a chicken.
Bill, that goes back to the old proverb, don't ever drop your chewing gum in the chicken coop. Is
that a proverb, is it?
You'll find it 10 times.
Who's writing your material today, Mo?
I don't know. I'm going to go to my B stuff here.
Well, there is cow chip bingo, but that takes up too much real estate. Like I said, we only got room for somewhere under 1,000 people in there. But one thing that Jim was talking about, Palomino, I used to be in a house band at the barn dance, which you did on Tuesday nights at the Palomino in California. For a couple of years I was there. And one of the interesting stories about that was, of course, that's back when it was drinking, smoking, a little bit of hell raising, and one of my favorite stories about the Palomino was, I'm sure folks who played there, now Tony used to be in a house band there, would remember that you'd have to load into the front door. Remember that? Before Marty Stewart, or Marty Robbins got to it. Do you know this story about Marty Robbins kept telling, I think his name was Tommy, wasn't it Tommy?
Tommy.
Palomino.
and Billy, yeah.
And he kept telling him, said, man, you got to do an artist interest for the stage. And he said, yeah. Well, one day, I guess, Marty Robbins came in there and got a chainsaw and made a back door right on the stage so you can load right in. Y'all haven't heard that story? Is it a lie? I think Tommy told me that. I want to do, every night I play, I do a mandatory Merle song. And Jim already did one, and don't expect to be as good as Jim. But here's one called Bottle Let Me Down.
Yeah.
Each night I leave the barroom when it's over, not feeling any pain at closing time. But tonight your memory found me much too sober. I couldn't drink enough to get you on my mind. Tonight the bottle let me down, and let your memory come around. the one true friend I thought I found. Denied the bottle, let me down. Had me a bottle that I could turn to, and lately I've been turning every day. But the wine don't take effect, Lord, in the way it used to. Now I'm hurting in an old familiar way. Bottle let me down, and let your memory hang around. The one true friend I thought I'd found. Denied the bottle, let me down. Denied the bottle, let me down. That's a little ridiculous. I gotta add something else here. When you're talking about, Ray was talking about getting in with a pickup band to do a show, and how bad that was, and then you got these guys, and you were talking about Jack Green. We backed up Jack Green, me and my band, in Green Bay, Wisconsin one time. Had to have been the worst band to back up Jack Green ever. It was, we felt so bad that we wanted to do so good, but we just didn't. And he was so gracious, though. And I thought, man, he really should pull out a gun and shoot us all. But he didn't. He thanked us with a handshake and probably shook his head on the way out, maybe, but he was so great. What a great, thank you, guys.
Dale, I want to ask you one thing real quick, because he's on so many of our shows and our audience loves him so much. Gene Watson, you're Dale Watson, no relation, I gather.
I tell people we are, but no, I love him, but no, I wish. I sure love his voice.
Yeah, we all do. Figured I'd ask that before the fans started writing, wanting to know.
Well, I told Bill earlier that I started, I guess I started playing at 14 doing the Honky Tonks. I was a designated driver before I knew what designated driver was, for all my friends. But I would always buy Country Song Roundup to learn the words. And the only other reason was because he had a Q&A in the front of that was so informative, so much fun. That's how I found out so much about country music and the singers and the writers. That's how I found out that Eddie had wrote Thank God for Kids. And anyway, you're such a part of my life, every one of y'all. Thank y'all. Honored
I think a lot of us learned a lot of songs out of Country Song Roundup magazine, those of us that are old enough to remember. Dale Watson, thank you for a great job, buddy. Good to have you here for the first time. Did you ever get those old Country Song Roundups?
Oh, yeah, and I had, I don't know how many of them. I punched holes and put them in those big binders. I had them until the flood. That's one of my treasures that went with the flood a few years ago. But
I got punished in school one time because I had a Country Song Roundup hidden behind a geography book. And the teacher came by and saw I was reading the lyrics to Farron Young's latest song instead of learning where Africa and Australia were.
Yeah. Hey, one thing I want to throw in that we've talked so much about the Texas honky tonks and all. I just want to say one thing that's so unique about them is the Texas fans. Don't y'all think that you go to Texas, you don't have to try to make them have a good time. They came to have a good time. So right. you almost can't keep them from having a good time. But there's just an attitude down there. I love to go.
Yeah, I think all of us do. Really Eddie Raven, there's a honky tonk or two in Louisiana too, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, we have, when I was first asked about this, ours are a little different than what most people, Louisiana's different in a lot of ways, and I come from South Louisiana, which is the Cajun part, and my mother was French, and so I grew up doing Jolie Blanc and a lot of the Cajun stuff. And my dad was a guitar player and from South Georgia, so I grew up listening to a lot of the old black blues players. There was a guy named Blind Boy Fuller that he used to talk about and play. And so it was a little different for us. Now, when in the early days, when I first started hanging out, when my dad would take me with him some of the places, it was a little different. It was mostly blues-oriented. All the clubs were that, what they'd call that Circle Six Louisiana stuff, was like Freddie Fender was doing, you know, with the triplets. And as I got older then, and I got into the bands, I got into a band called the Swing Kings and the Boogie Kings, and I was the youngest guy in the bunch, and I was around guys like John Smith, who went on to be saxophone player for Boz Scaggs and Toto, and Jerry LaCroix, who went on to be lead singer for Rare Earth. And I got involved in the studio, but the Honky Tonks, they were pretty much blues-oriented, and you'd have an occasional country-type song back then, but it was in probably the early 60s, 63, 64, that I started working the clubs with the big horn bands and everything. So we had like 5 horns, a B3 Hammond with 250-watt Leslies, and sometimes 2 drummers, because we saw James Brown had 2.
And a roadie, right?
We were the roadies. And we didn't have any monitors. We had 2 big old Altec Lansings on each end of the stage, and you had to try to keep up with all that and have that brass section blowing your head off, you know. But my dad was the guy that always told me, my last conversation with my dad was about Merle Haggard. And he said, son, you got to cut all that crap you've been doing, and you need to get into Nashville, do songs like Haggard. And he'd call me from a bar room, you know. And he said, listen to this, and he played Swinging Doors. And I said, well, yeah, and I knew all that stuff, and I'd done it, but I was making a lot of money doing the other stuff, and that's the only people that wanted me. And so, and I talked to Haggard about it one time, when I first met Merle, I was in Houston. I was going to Gillies, and he had just left there. And when we met at the hotel in the morning, we all had breakfast, and they were leaving, we were just coming in. And I went and introduced myself, and I said, you know, Merle, my last conversation with my dad was about you. And I said, he told me that I needed to do what you do. And Merle, you know, he smokes those cigarettes backwards. He did. Your dad had good taste. and I'm waiting for the other shoe, but it never gave. And I'm thinking he's joking, but he's serious as a heart attack. Yeah, he wasn't kidding.
We heard about them backward cigarettes.
I wrote a song called "We Robbed Trains" years ago, and I pitched it to Merle. And Merle told me in typical Merle fashion, after I asked him about it when I ran into him on the road, because I hadn't heard a response. And I said, Merle, did you get that song that I'd written called "We Robbed Trains"? He said, yeah. He said, nobody ever told you I write songs? I'm still waiting for the shoe. But Gene Watson cut the song, did a great job on it. But it was a little different for us. It was a lot of Fats Domino, a lot of those Little Willie John. It was a lot of Bobby Blue Bland, and we had to play all that. But my dad would make me do the other stuff too. So
yeah, but there were other honky tonks in Louisiana. First time I ever saw chicken wire in front of the stage, we've talked about the famous chicken wire. Was in Louisiana, because there was the Cajun clubs, I guess, where the Jimmy C. Newmans and the
there was a place Jimmy used to play called Bucket of Blood. And and there was a place we played in Mermentau, Louisiana. First time I ever saw the chicken wire, and I'm the young kid in the bunch. I'm not even old enough to go into the club, but everybody else is, you know, they're doing all their numbers, and I'm a straight guy. I don't have, you know, I wouldn't even drink much Kool-Aid, but first place I ever saw was the Mermentau River Club, and there was chicken wire on both sides, and they didn't have it on the front. And I looked at it, and I'd heard the story because my dad had told me. He said, if they got chicken wire, stay behind it. So, I mean, pretty interesting information. But yeah, there was a bunch of those. There was a bunch of the places. And New Orleans was, my mother always worried when we went to New Orleans, played New Orleans a lot in the early days. And she wasn't so worried about the crime or anything. She was worried about all the clubs, like the My Oh My Club back there, which was a strange club. And they had those girls in those swings and swing out the window like this, and you were supposed to go in.
That's pretty amazing.
Did you ever guess which was which?
Huh?
Did you ever guess which was which?
Never could tell the difference. You know about the My Oh My.
I know.
You can't tell the difference. I mean, these are. How would we say that, Jim?
You say it. I'm not going to.
We better move along.
They were
again.
people that weren't sure if they want to be guys or girls. They were making up their mind. But it was, you couldn't, they were
Just
very
a swing
attractive
in.
people.
Yeah.
Gives it a different. Get out of this.
Gives it a different meaning, doesn't it?
Let's go back to Fats Domino. You're going to do a Fats Domino song with your own twist to it.
The reason I want to do this song, this is what we grew up around listening to, but my hero coming up was a guy named Bobby Charles, Robert Charles Guidry. He lived down the road from me. And he took a liking and interest in me. And the first song I ever recorded that made it was a hit for me down there was a song he wrote called Your Picture. And got to know him, and later on, I'd written a song called Big Boys Cry. And he recorded it. It became a huge record down home. And a couple years ago, Elvis Costello recorded it. And but Bobby Charles wrote See You Later, Alligator, Walkin' to New Orleans, I don't know why I love you, but I do. I'm just a jealous kind. Could not read or write music, could not play an instrument. And he had an arm that was so funny, and a great guy. And I loved him to death, and probably the reason I'm halfway what I am today is because I looked at Bobby Charles and I realized that if Bobby could do it, I sure as hell could, you know? And he told me about Big Boys, about walking to New Orleans. He said Bobby would gamble and lose money, make a lot of money and lose money. And he called Fats, and Fats would send him money to come up and bring the song, go down to New Orleans. And he said he called Fats one day, and Fats said, no, I ain't seeing no money. He said, well, how am I going to get some songs to you? He said, walk. So he walked to New Orleans and wrote the song on the way. And that's what Bobby told me.
Wow, that's a great story.
And it worked, I guess. All right, guys, see if I can remember all the words to this. I haven't done it in 30 years since yesterday. This time I'm walking to New Orleans. I'm walking to New Orleans. I'm gonna need 2 pair of shoes when I get through walking these blues. When I get back to New Orleans, got my suitcase in my hand. Ain't that a shame? I'm leaving here today. Yes, I'm going back home to stay. I'm walking to New Orleans. You know you used to be my honey, till you spent all my money. Ain't no need for you to cry. Wanna see you by and by. So I'm walking to New Orleans. Got no time for talking. Got to keep walking. New Orleans is my home. That's the reason why I'm gone. So I'm walking to New Orleans. I'm walking to New Orleans. I'm walking to New Orleans. Thank you very much, guys.
Eddie Raven.
Thank you.
Great job, Eddie. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will never hear that song that I won't remember one Sunday morning in the Atlanta airport. I was with Ferlin Husky, and we had worked a show in Panama City the night before, and we were both changing planes in Atlanta. And Ferlin was feeling very little pain. And he went up to a sky cap, and he said, I've got a lot of baggage. Would you get some sky caps and help me bring in all this baggage? Well, he rounded up about 3 or 4, and Ferlin said, that's not enough. I need more sky caps. So they got about 15 sky caps. Ferlin put them in a single row line, and he stood in the front, and he said, all right, everybody follow me. Walking to New Orleans. He started going through the Atlanta airport with 20 sky caps singing Walking to New Orleans.
Oh, they probably like that.
I don't know what that's got to do with anything, but I think of it every time.
Been a while.
That was also the morning the stewardess came down the aisle. This was in the old days when you used to carry your ticket on the plane, and then they'd come check your ticket. And Ferlin had a sport coat on, and the stewardess came down and said, may I see your ticket? And he said, it's in the inside pocket of my sport coat. And she reached in there and pulled out a giant tube of Colgate toothpaste. He didn't have an airline ticket. He said the toothpaste. She said, what's your name? He said, George Morgan. And went to sleep. Mike, you guys have worked up an instrumental. There hasn't been a hit country instrumental since this song came out back in the 60s somewhere. I mean, a monster like a #1 country instrumental. And this is it, and I bet you guys do it awful good. All right, our Country's Family Honky Tonk Reunion Band, Little Buckaroo. Yeah, Buckaroo with a little unique twist on it there. That's good. Does anybody know, did Buck Owens write that and play that guitar, or was it Don Rich?
It was Don.
Was it Don that played it on the record?
I was with Charlie Lubin, and we were working Indianapolis, I think, at a fair. And we went to eat with them after the show, the Buckaroos. And Don told me that the week before they had cut an instrumental. He thought it was really going to be good, but it was Buckaroo.
Wow. That's awesome.
Like you say, the last instrumental big hit.
Cool.
Well, I wondered if it was Buck actually playing that or if it was Don. It was actually Don. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Hank, I don't recall hearing the fiddle part quite
No,
like
it's
that, Chief. That was pretty
great.
cool. That was very cool.
It kind of sounded like the way Don Rich played the fiddle, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that style.
Yeah. The whole time we've been sitting there talking about honky tonks and playing honky tonk music, and I've been looking at Rhonda Vincent. Is there any such thing as a bluegrass honky tonk?
I don't know that there's a bluegrass honky tonk.
Yeah,
but
she does it. She does it. Definitely.
But my father he played guitar like Chet Atkins, and he's still alive. He just hadn't played that type of guitar in a long time. So growing up, as far as I can remember, he and his father and his uncles, they played either the square dances or, they played the dances, the moose, the VFW, or the honky tonk, the local honky tonk. So when growing up in a musical family, I was protected from the elements, I think, of a honky tonk. As I'm hearing all the stories and thinking about, it's like I never saw any of the bad things, really. I was protected from that. Mm-hmm. And he took us there because we always wanted to hear the music. Mm-hmm. And if my dad couldn't go, or if we couldn't go, my dad didn't go. He could always take the kids, and that's back when, if I wasn't old enough to go, if you were with your parent, I don't think that's the case anymore. Is it? Even if you're with your...
Kids come to the bingo all the time.
Oh, the kids do come to the bingo. Now, can they come in later?
I think if they serve food, they can get away with a lot of...
Oh,
No, the chicken's asleep then. You can't go in there.
Chickens ain't gonna be bingoing. The guests
If the
might.
chicken's in bed, the kids should be. And if the chickens are in bed, the kids should be.
That's true, yeah. Well, that wasn't the case, The kids couldn't go, and my dad took us to many dances and many places because he was playing guitar. Now, when I started playing the fiddle at 12, by 13, 14, and at that time, when he got a job playing electric guitar, then he'd say, I have a daughter who plays fiddle, and she comes with the deal. So then I was playing the dances and a lot of New Year's Eve. By summertime, we would play bluegrass festivals, but there weren't indoor festivals at that time.
Right.
So during the winter months, Dad would be playing the honky tonks and the clubs. So I started playing fiddle, and then that's how I met my husband. My dad got a call for a fiddle player, and I think we told the story on the Sweethearts show last week. And so he called for a fiddle player, and then my dad says, but I come with the deal. So either way, whatever they needed, they got a fiddle player and a guitar player. So, but I was thinking about my first experience coming to Nashville, Tennessee without my family. And being this protective, not seeing the bad. It was always family, and if a fight broke out, I never saw that. That was later. They took us out of there. But I came to Nashville by myself without my parents for the first time, I think at 17. And I was just thinking of, is it the show Dragnet where the names were changed to protect the innocent? Because there might be, I'm not going to say there is, those people might be in here today, or they might not. But I know they're in Nashville. So I come to Nashville. It was during the DJ convention, I think, in October. And they left me with a young fiddle player, a young lady. Well, she was older than I was. But we heard that Buddy Emmons and Mark O'Connor, they were doing a show, I think at the Roadway Inn, or at one of the clubs over there. So we went, and I was so excited. The excitement. I'm in Nashville, no parents, music, it's like music heaven. And I get there, and all of a sudden, a fella comes up to the lady that I'm with and says, hey, you want to go burn one? And she said, yeah, and I said, all right, because I thought they were going to go play music. No idea. And so she goes to another lady, she goes, here, watch her. And they left. And all that time, it wasn't until years later, I found out what they were doing. You were talking about those backward cigarettes, I guess. Yeah. I guess that's what they were doing, but I didn't know that for many years later. I thought they were upstairs having a jam session all that time.
Playing hot legs.
Yeah. No idea.
Leaving you out.
They left me out. I know. I couldn't believe it.
Is there such a thing today with your band, which you were pretty much country when you first came to Nashville, and then you went kind of back rootsy with your bluegrass. Are there places like honky tonks or clubs for bluegrass today?
I'm sure we don't play that many. I think my first experience when I was in country music, I played a couple of them. In fact, I remember specifically finding that it wasn't really my music didn't really, it didn't go over, it didn't seem to, because I played Atlanta. There's a big club in there, and I was with one of the major agencies, and they sent me there, and they called and said, how did it go? And he goes, well, he said it was kind of like having Barbara Mandrell. So it didn't work so well because I played all the different instruments. You know, that's what we did. It was
I'd say
more
that
of a
would be
show.
a compliment. Right?
It was a compliment. It was a compliment to me. I wish I could play steel like her and like Mike.
You know, Bill, they brought me a microphone. I thought they'd be taking it away from me.
They turned it up, too.
Yeah, turned it up. But we used to call them beer joints years ago. They call them beer joints. My dad played in beer joints, and I guess it was the same thing as a honky tonk. I think a beer joint is a small honky tonk, I believe.
Just it doesn't have a band.
But it doesn't have a band. A beer joint doesn't have a
You
band.
remember the after hours
Or a
club?
chicken.
The after hours clubs. Oh,
Remember
yes.
the after hours clubs where they'd
Yes.
bring in the coffee machines at 2 in the morning?
Yeah.
And
Stay up all
and
night.
you'd go till like 7 or 8. Well, that was a hardcore crowd there.
You know, I had a song called I Just Started Hating Cheating Songs Today.
Oh,
It was my first
great song.
chart record. Had a line in it said, I just threw my last bottle at the jukebox. And they started having people throwing bottles at jukeboxes around the country. We had to get that stopped.
That's my favorite album cover, by the way.
Oh
You
yeah,
and you on that
I'm sitting
jukebox.
there like at a bar room. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah. But, yeah, we had to stop them from throwing the bottles. But that's all I got to say. I'll turn off.
Well, Rhonda, you know, you said that you weren't accepted or you didn't feel like you were accepted, you know, singing in the honky tonks. I kind of had a little bit of that feeling early in my career, and most of you probably heard this line, but the time I asked Willie Nelson, I said, Willie, why don't I get to play in Texas very much? Because I wasn't playing in Texas for a long time. He said, Bill, they drink beer in Texas louder than you sing.
Oh,
How about a song from Rhonda?
I would love to. And I've been waiting for somebody to do the two-step. There's not been any dancing going on, but
Oh,
you know,
come on.
most musicians don't dance.
Most musicians don't dance.
Most musicians don't dance.
Well, I have a theory. I think that's because when everybody else was learning to dance, we were learning to pick and
We were
grin.
playing
and
the music,
Playing
yeah.
the music, yeah.
Here's a Whitey Schaefer song called I Do My Crying at Night.
Yeah, all right.
Darling, I've got all our friends believing that I'm glad to have you out of my sight. Lie down all day long and say I'm glad you're gone.
something wrong with that honky tonk audience, Rhonda. Man, that's just about as honky tonk as you can get. That's great.
Thank you. Thanks for dancing over there.
Oh, only on a little turnaround there, I couldn't help it.
I loved it.
I'm surprised it took us into our third hour before somebody got up and started dancing.
It's been hard.
Dale Watson and Becky Hobbs dancing over there. Now, you went over and asked Buck to dance.
Yeah.
All right. Now, is that, I mean, I'm going back long time. The girls didn't ask the guys to dance.
Yeah, well, I changed a lot of things.
Well, I'm glad you did.
Actually, no.
Boy, you set her up perfect.
That's the only answer I could give you there. No, I remember when Buck's dad used to be at the Opry and used to dance, and then, of course, Buck goes out and dances with the square dancers at the Opry a lot, and he's just such a good dancer, I couldn't resist.
Rhonda said a lot of us musicians don't dance, and I found that to be true, except Texas guys. Now, maybe there's other places too, but I'm telling you,
Dale's dancing over here.
they do out there because it's just a way of life. It is part of the culture. And
he was talking about how there's always, you watch the dance floor. I remember Dad and I were playing a dance on New Year's Eve, and I remember this so vividly to this day. I thought it was the cutest thing I've ever seen. But the guy acted like he had a fishing pole. And she would dance closer to him as he reeled in the fishing pole. And that is one of the funniest things. And he had a great time that night, whoever that guy was. And it was in Unionville, Missouri. So, sir, I love that, and I still remember it.
Whoever you are.
Whoever you are, I love it.
Of course, I'm from Pennsylvania, but I wonder if anybody else played. Back when I was growing up, they used to call it round, square, and polka dancing. Anybody else ever?
You know what a oompa stick is then?
I'm not sure I should answer.
First time I ever played in Milwaukee, there was some guy that had a polka band, and I was playing up there with his house band, and he introduced me as Eddie the Raven. And he had a polka band, and he said, "Now we're going to use the oompa stick." Well, I said, "Whoa!" And it's that thing that they do go, "Oompa." It makes all kind of noise, So my first experience, you got to watch it.
Quote the Raven, nevermore, as they say.
I think in Texas, you learn a lot of musicians learn to dance. One, because that's the easy way to talk to a woman. But I play guitar. I never forget a big thrill. Daryl called me to play guitar for him in Bandera, Texas, at a place called the Cabaret.
I remember that,
And boy, I just thrilled. I've always been such a fan. And I'm not that good a guitar player.
I'll tell you, you're an excellent guitar player, too.
That's kind of you to say.
Really.
But this guy took me to school that day. You played like 2.5, 3 hours, song after song after song. There wasn't hardly any break in between a song.
Wow.
Not a lot of talking, and they kept that dance floor spinning. And
I've worked so many of them 4-hour dances. I can do a 4-hour dance in 30 minutes.
But as a musician, you keep seeing people dance. Then you start thinking, well, I might be able to do that.
Well, you play for 2 hours almost in Texas. We went dancing there recently in Fort Worth. They played for 2 hours before they ever took a break.
Yeah,
it's like, I don't know how, that's amazing to me.
Yeah, it is.
I played Texas an awful lot, and all of a sudden, I started going into these places, and the management says, "Jim Ed, can you play all night without taking a break?" And I said, "No, where'd you get that?" They said, "Well, Willie Nelson comes in here, and he starts his band, and and then the band will take a break, and he keeps singing."
Yes.
He just sits up there with his microphone and a guitar and just keeps, and I said, "What to Willie?" I said, "Willie, you're killing me." Yeah. But he's amazing whenever it comes to that.
Well, the way they applaud for you in Texas is by getting out on the dance floor.
Right.
I mean, they're not going to sit there necessarily in those clubs and, clap and applaud. But if you're filling up that dance floor, then you're doing your job.
I had a problem with that whenever I left Texas. I was so used to playing the dances that whenever I had a record and went out and did a medley of my hit, I would everybody else's song. But I had to really learn how to perform in front of an audience, and it scared me to death. I mean, everybody just looking at you. And I had to really work on that to get used to that, because they always dance. And the biggest non-compliment you ever got was, I went to that old boy's show and that you couldn't even dance to it. And that was a non-compliment there.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of medleys in our shows, and we'd do parts of a song and then go to another one. Now, you want to get booed in Texas, go down there and play medleys. Start play a verse and a chorus a wild weekend, and then start playing Tips of My Fingers, and they break their legs out on the dance floor. I learned real quick not to do that.
Right.
When you go down there. Curtis Potter, you're from Texas.
I sure am.
Now, did you work with Hank Thompson?
I did for 13 years.
Oh, yeah. Well, you were a Brazos Valley boy?
I was. We were called everything back then. The guy way up north one time introduced us as Frank Tomlin and the Brazos River Valley Boys. But no, like I said, I was with Hank for 13 years, and we played a lot of fights. And a lot of times a dance would break out, you know.
Well, Hank had the really, after Bob Wills, I guess, in his heyday, Hank Thompson really had the definitive country western swing dance band in Texas. I mean, the Brazos Valley Boys, every year they'd win the band of the year. And,
yeah, we were the #1 band like for 13 years.
The whole 13 you were there?
Well, we had when I first started, it was like 9 pieces. And then when I left, we had 4. I remember Tony Booth had the band at the Palomino Club in Los Angeles. And we played there, and we were like down to 4 pieces, and one of the guys got sick that night and couldn't make it. And so we walked in, and Tony Booth had a great band. I mean, a great band. And it's only 3 of us, the Brazos Valley Boys. And I said, I'm not going on, because they cut us 9 kinds of ways, you know. But no, those were fun days along.
What instrument did you play in the band?
Pardon me?
What instrument did you play?
Well, it's funny. I started off when they first hired me playing guitar. And we went to Jackson Hole, Wyoming for 2 weeks. And came back, and the bass man quit, and Billy Gray called me in and said, well, we're not going to use a guitar player anymore. And I said, well, that's over for me. He said, but we do need a bass player. I said, well, I don't know how to play bass. He said, we'll teach you. I said, well, I'll give it a whirl. So they called California and had Leo Fender ship us a bass and amp to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we went up and played Kane's Academy, and that's the first time I had a bass in my hand. I played a job. Yeah. And we were, from that night, we were on our way to California for a week or so. And Hank said, I want you to get with somebody out in California, kind of help you out on the bass a little bit. And I said, well, sure. And we got out there, and I said, who'd you want me to see? He said, Merle Travis.
Yeah.
So I went to Merle Travis's house and stayed for 3 days. Wow. And when I come back, played the next job, Hank said, damn, boy. Merle Travis was a genius at teaching people, you know. So
Right.
that's how I come up to play the bass.
Wow. Well, Hank played a lot of his own lead, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he played.
So he could get by without the lead guitar player, but needed a bass player.
Yeah, but we still carried the 2 or 3 fiddles, you know.
Boy, when he carried that big band with the horns, and I mean, I saw him one time with like a 13-piece orchestra.
Yeah, I was
just amazing.
You know, when Dubert Dobson was playing trumpet and all that, that was such a thrill for me.
I think you're going to do a Hank Thompson song, aren't
I'd
you?
love to. You
Please
bet.
do.
All right.
Curtis Potter.
All right, boys.
You wouldn't read my letter if I wrote you. You asked me not to call you on the phone. But there's something I'm wanting to tell you. So I wrote it in the words of this song. I didn't know God made honky tonk angels. I might have known you'd never make a wife. You gave up the only one that ever loved you, and went back to the wild side of life. Oh yeah. The gay nightlife has lured you to the places where the wine and liquor flow, where you wait to be anybody's baby and forget the truest love you'll ever know. I didn't know God made honky tonk angels. Well, I might have known you'd never make a wife. You gave up the only one that ever loved you, and went back to the wild side of life.
Bless you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Bill.
Curtis Potter. That's a honky tonk anthem. That's
Yes, it is.
more than just song. That's terrific, Curtis. Thank you. We've still got music to come from Roy Clark, from Becky Hobbs. Becky and Mo are going to do a duet together, something they recorded years ago. Billy Yates, we haven't heard from you. And we got a whole lot more music when Country's Family Honky Tonk Reunion continues. So stay with us.